This is Judith Lay welcoming you to Manx Radio and to the podcast of this week's edition of At Your Service. Manx Radio! Our programmes during these weeks of December will all in some way reflect that we're in the season that the Church calls Advent. Weeks that are not simply about the practical preparations for Christmas, necessary as they might be, but about taking a little time to reflect on the hope that a baby born into poverty and obscurity offers to a hurting world and to you and to me today. This morning I want to tell you about a party I went to a couple of evenings ago and to invite you to something that everyone can share in Douglas later this week. But first, some music. And this is from Celtic Worship, Come Thou Long-Expected Jesus, Advent words matched with an arrangement of a Welsh hymn tune that means pleasing, sweet or melodious. Celtic Worship recorded this in support of the work of their friends at International Justice Mission UK.
Come thou long expected Jesus, born to set thy people free from our fears and sins, release us. Let us find our rest in thee. Israel's strength and consolation, hope of all the earth thou art, dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart. All thy people to deliver, born a child and yet a king, born to reign in us forever. Now thy gracious kingdom bring, by thine own eternal Spirit, ruling all our hearts alone, by thine own sufficient merit, raise us to thy glorious throne.
Celtic Worship with the Advent hymn they've recorded in support of the work of International Justice Mission UK, an organisation we've featured on this programme, talking about their vital work to stop all forms of slavery and human trafficking. In places where they work, they've seen slavery decrease by up to 86%.
Come thou long expected Jesus, born to set thy people free from our fears and sins, release us. Let us find our rest in thee.
Let's start now with something that welcomes everyone who can make their way to Douglas City Centre at 6:30 this coming Thursday evening, the 12th. It's Christmas Live. It's totally free and it's suitable for anyone of any age. And here to tell us what to expect are the two people who are organising it. Pioneer Minister Reverend Alex Brown, a priest in the Church of England, who's organising Christmas Live at the request of Oliver Cheshire, who is the city centre manager for Douglas City Council. And it's Oliver's job to add value and enjoyment to everyone's experience of the city centre, both shoppers and businesses. So, over to you, Alex. Tell us, just what is Christmas Live?
Good question. Christmas Live is a live nativity where we have adults and children and live animals, and we have the Salvation Army band, and basically we will do what you expect from the nativity story. And you turn up and we sing traditional Christmas carols and we unfold the Christmas story. Emma Nudd from Broadway and myself will be narrating the story, and the cast just kind of follow what happens, and in between all of that we sing carols. It's going to be great. Last time we had a band, like a contemporary band. This time we've got the Salvation Army band, who are very used to playing Christmas carols. And it means it sounds really authentically Christmassy as well. It's really good.
Now, if I can come over to you, Oliver Cheshire. Now, Oliver, all through the year, your work is making shoppers and visitors to Douglas have the best experience, isn't it?
That's right, yes. So we put a series of events on throughout the year and obviously work closely with the businesses in the city centre.
You've chosen a late night shopping night for Christmas Live. So is that to really give people an opportunity to go in the shops and then come and finish it off with something really seasonal?
Definitely. Such a nice way to get in the Christmas spirit as well. I don't think anything better than a nativity.
Is it important to you that it has very traditional elements, that it reaches out to people of all faiths and no faith?
100%. And obviously working with Alex, he always pulls together such a fantastic show. I love over the weeks hearing different things he's added, and obviously he's got all the different churches within Douglas involved, and more than I think we've ever had before. It's fantastic.
Oliver, talk to me about the venue, because this time it's in a different place. It's still the city centre, but it's a different place, isn't it?
So we're down on North Quay this year, so just outside St Matthew's Church. So we're closing the road from the bottom of Ridgeway Street and the bottom of Market Hill. We've done a few events down there this summer with the guys at Heron and Brearley, things like the football, the Euros we had on, Harvest Festival. So we've got a bit of experience doing events down there, and now obviously Christmas Live.
Are you building a stage again? Because I've seen some music events where you've had a stage. Are you doing that again?
Yes, we are. So we're going to have a stage. It's similar to the one that we used for the Jazz and Blues Festival and the Harvest Festival, and it's kindly been loaned to us by the guys at Heron and Brearley. If you came to any of the other events, we had the stage outside Noah, but we've got it the opposite end now, so it'll be outside St Matthew's, facing down towards the sea terminal direction.
And the beauty of having a stage, of course, that if you're bringing some little people with you, they'll be able to see what's going on as well, won't they?
That's it, they will. So at the front of the stage, we're going to have our deck chairs. So we'll have about 50 deck chairs, and then lots of picnic benches in behind for people to sit down, and then there'll be standing room at the back as well.
Will there be any live animals?
Thanks to Mr. Brown, the will. So we've got White Jack the donkey, and I think he's at 5 or 6 sheep, Alex.
Farmer Ian, who gave us our super fluffy sheep last time we did it, we've got some sheep bred as pets, and our donkey, White Jack, is coming from the Home for Old Horses just on Richmond Hill.
There will be camels, won't there? Promise me there'll be camels.
There will be a puppety camel. We're either going to go for camels, which are hobby horses, or we're going to go for an enormous puppet camel. There'll definitely be a kind of camel.
We've got Spinning Vanning coming again this year, and they were fantastic last time, doing a fire spinning and stuff, so that always adds a fantastic spectacle.
Alex, let's talk a little bit more about the great response that you've had to this, with more people getting involved. Who's new this year, completely new this year?
Well, obviously the Bishop is new this year because she's only just come to the island, who's one of the shepherds. Some of our volunteers who've only just moved over...
Just hang on a minute. You're saying to me that the Bishop's going to be a shepherd?
Honestly, I couldn't quite believe it. So I got this email from her, and she just said, Alex, I'd love to get involved with Christmas Live. So I messaged her back and said, what would you like to do? And she literally said, anything. So she came along to the rehearsal, and when we were getting volunteers, she put her hand up and said, well, I'll be a shepherd. And I said, well, that's very appropriate. That'd be great. So she's one of our shepherds.
It just says a lot about her sincere wish to be engaged with the community. She just wants to meet people, doesn't she? Yeah,
she came to our rehearsal, didn't even introduce herself. If I hadn't said at the end, by the way, everyone, this is our new bishop, no one would have known. I mean, it talks about humility, real engagement, and wanting to just be there, be present with people.
Can I just mention here that our new bishop is the Right Reverend Patricia Hillis, but she's very happy to simply be called Tricia.
And we also have Open the Book teams. So there might have been Open the Book team members who have volunteered before, but this year I put the word out to the Open the Book teams, which are teams of people, mostly ecumenical teams, who go into local primary schools and just tell Bible stories in a curriculum appropriate way all across the island. I think there's only a few schools that don't have an Open the Book team. And this year I've got local Douglas teams to offer themselves. So they have already got actors, they've already got costumes, and they have really turned it around for me. So loads of the costumes that the shepherds and the angels in particular are going to be wearing are Open the Book team costumes, and I can't thank them enough.
And Alex, looking at this from a spiritual point of view, this is a pretty special story, isn't it?
It is. It's a very, very special story to about 2 billion people today across the world. And so as we share that, we're sharing something which is hugely culturally relevant across the whole planet. One of my favourite parts this year, which we did a couple of years ago, the Scouts and the Girl Guides are going to bring in, right near the end, the Peace Light candle, which is a candle that's been lit from Bethlehem. There's a candle that's lit in Bethlehem that stays alight all the time called the Eternal Flame. And Scouts go out to the actual place and they light their candle, and then that's taken to Austria on a plane where they're allowed to keep the flame going. And then people from all over the world go to Austria and light their candle, and then people from the Isle of Man go across to England and light the flame, and it's been constantly burning all the way back here. So the flame they're going to bring in right at the end, as we're singing Silent Night, it's going to come right through the audience, and that kind of demonstrates this light that Jesus' birth brings to the whole of the created order, not just to humans, but to everything. 2 years ago, it was touch and go whether the Peace Light event across the world would even happen, because the war had just broken out, and it was very, very difficult, but they still managed to get it out. And I think that's a metaphor that speaks of, no matter how difficult things are in the world, no matter how much conflict there is, the impetus to bring peace and to bring light is actually stronger than any conflicts that will happen in the world. Hopefully it'll be a really powerful, calm moment. Going to slow everything down, sing this song, the light comes in, and that's going to be kind of the big finish. So hopefully, after having loads and loads of fun, there'll be this moment of reflection for the hundreds of people that are going to be there.
Alex, you want this to be something that anybody and everybody, as we've said, of all faiths and no faith, can just come and watch and listen. But for anybody for whom this might raise some questions, how are you handling that?
Yeah, at the end of the show, there's going to be 4 or 5 people in St Matthew's Hall, all of whom are very experienced in talking to people and helping people unpack what they think is happening in their head and their heart. So if the story has impacted people, they can come into St Matthew's Hall for about half an hour afterwards. There'll be a team of people there to talk with people about any questions they have or how it is that they're feeling about this whole nativity story, because it's a massive story about God sending the light into the world, and the gift of Christmas is a person, not a theory. It's a relationship with Jesus that we can have. So anyone who wants to explore that is more than able to do that. But it's a government event, so we won't be saying from the stage, come forwards now if you want to receive Jesus, but we will be saying, if you want to talk, there are people available.
Thank you, Reverend Alex Brown, organising Christmas Live at the request of City Centre Manager from Douglas City Council, Oliver Cheshire. And just a reminder of all the practical details you need. Christmas Live is this Thursday, December the 12th, on the North Quay outside St Matthew's Church here in Douglas. The area will be closed off to traffic for the event, which starts at 6:30, and it'll last about an hour. It's completely free, but as numbers will need to be controlled for your safety, you do need to get a ticket, and you can get these easily online by going to christmaslive.im. christmaslive.im. It's late night shopping in Douglas on Thursday, with most shops and businesses open until 8 o'clock or maybe even later, so plenty of opportunity to get a hot drink or a snack or do some more shopping after you've been to Christmas Live. And now it's party time, a party that I went to last Thursday evening. But this was no ordinary party. It's been nicknamed the Postcode Party simply because the hosts, AFD Software, based at Mountain View Innovation Centre on the Derby Road in Ramsey, are also known as the Postcode People because their business is to help all types of organisations and businesses to eliminate wasted time and resources by the highly sophisticated use of postcodes. One of the company's main objectives, set in stone by directors David and Alison Dorricott, is to use company profits creatively in the relief of suffering, the improvement of society and the furtherance of the Christian gospel. And so each year they invite their staff to nominate charities to receive a share of the company's profits. And so, last Thursday night, 91 different charitable organisations, both local and global, received a share of £1.2 million to support their work. And this isn't a one-off event. The company has been doing this throughout its 42 years in business, with some extraordinary additional generosity. A Cessna light aircraft costing $3 million is just about to be delivered to Mission Aviation Fellowship to enable the charity to support aid and development organisations to access remote and isolated communities which, due to the mountainous terrain and complete lack of roads, are only really accessible by air. When Thursday night's party was over, I had a chance to go a little deeper in conversation with Company Director David Dorricott to find out more about why he does this.
Well, they say you can't take it with you when you go. But no, to the serious point, some of the presentations we've heard tonight about releasing people from poverty or also enabling people to help themselves, these are powerful stories of lives transformed. And what encourages Alison and I a lot is that our colleagues, the guys who actually really do the hard work and earn this money, are equally engaged. They're as delighted and thrilled and think, crikey, my company did this. And it's really interesting because people like our sales team who visit people, commercial companies across the UK, they also are finding that in the corporate world and in the public world, people recognise that we're not just raising profit for profit's sake. Now, don't get me wrong, profit is really important. My first accountant said very clearly, David, don't be afraid of profit because God will show you what to do with it. And I think the situation in 2024 is that he has and does. There's always more to do. So profit's really important to business. It's the ability to fix things or to invest things or to make a difference. Now, what that difference is requires a multiplication factor that is really what we celebrate tonight. 91 charities doing all kinds of things, from developmental agronomy in Africa to helping release and prevent human trafficking, release sex and cyber slaves. Some of the charities working on really dark subjects, but they're bringing light into those dark places. And I'm reminded today a lot about Jesus feeding the 5,000, because what he did in that amazing miracle we read about, and it was actually more than 5,000 because it was 5,000 men alone, let alone the kids and the ladies there. But it was a child who brought his 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fishes and multiplied the result, so there were 12 baskets left over. Now, that's the Lord we serve, and he gives us things. And when we give them back to him, he does amazing things like allow planes to fly or allow people to be fed or allow people to feed themselves, which is even more exciting, to help people get an education, because education can be the roadway out of poverty, out of deprivation. I think all of us are concerned, for example, about the number of people who put their lives and their children's lives at risk to come across the English Channel to get to Britain. But I often reflect on the fact these people must have not very much to lose. If you're going to put your children in the hands of these evil people, you need to have some hope. And we as Christians rejoice that, and especially at Christmas, that Jesus is the hope bringer. The church is the hope bringer. The gospel brings hope. 91 organisations bring hope one way or another. That's the thrill.
You choose organisations local. You support lots of charities here on the island, doing a great range of things, and global charities as well. These are empowering charities. These are not handout charities. These are hand-up charities that are finding out where need is and lifting people up to be the best version of themselves, to be the best that they can be.
If you simply hand out money, you can destroy an economy and you can ruin people's future. You make them dependent on you, and that's not what we're about. There are times when crisis hits. There's an earthquake, there's a natural disaster, a volcano, a major flood, when you need to provide immediate aid, and it's important to be part of that compassion. But it isn't compassionate to go into an economy and come along with your Western ideas and say, we know how to do this by giving you all this free food. And all you do is you destroy the farmers who are growing the crops. And we've seen that in some parts of the world. Is a tragedy of some types of aid. But when we look at charities, we are particularly drawn to those who are, if you like, planning their own exit strategy, to use a business term. When they go into a place, they're thinking about how they come out of the place, leaving behind sustainability, hope, self-reliance, and with self-reliance, of course, comes a sense of dignity. Sadly, with displaced people's camps, for example, that is more difficult. How do you help people to be self-sufficient when they're displaced from their home countries? So being peace bringers back into war zones is another important aspect that the church supports too.
You believe that the purpose of your business is to generate profit and then to put it where it can do the greatest good. How much of a challenge is business? You're known as the Postcode People, and that was the basis of your business, and it's become more sophisticated over the years. But is there still a challenge for your team of highly skilled and experienced people to constantly be looking at new ways of using technology?
Yes, although some of it's happening automatically as we have been around for a long time. Our customer profile has changed, so that we're finding a lot of the customers who come to us are not necessarily looking for the lowest price, but they're looking for other important elements like reliability, speed of response, resilience. What happens if the internet goes down and we're relying on your service to provide these postcodes that will allow us to deliver Mother's Day parcels, all of that. And because we have such a big and well-experienced team, we can offer reassurance in that area. So some of that is easy, but technology is moving on. The whole challenge of how artificial intelligence will affect the world that we're going to live in. Will you be able to trust anything you read or see or listen to? So those things we are ourselves starting to make haste slowly, because we don't necessarily want to be first adopters, but there are big changes coming. I'm sure that in a lot of other areas of human endeavour, you have the same problems. I think a lot of medics would say that the movement and the speed with which things are changing is difficult to keep up with. You feel you're on a conveyor belt. But our team are good. They're a bit, if I use the word geeky, it's not as an insult, but they're actually a lot of self-motivation to explore these things because they like it. And that means that we have input from people who are experimenting, engaging, thinking. Within this business, these people are the de facto knowledge base of postcode geography in the British Isles. Without them, Britain would genuinely be chaotic. So there's a good reason to expect that we'll be having another charity event next year and that we can be generous again.
That's a very reassuring last word from Director of the Postcode People, David Dorricott. But let's just have one example now of the difference that one donation makes to a UK-based charity. The crushing weight of debt can lead many people to consider suicide rather than reach out for help. The charity Christians Against Poverty aims to change all this by equipping churches across the UK to be centres of expert advice and long-term support to get people debt-free. This is how CEO of the charity, Stuart McCulloch, explains it.
Well, the donations from AFD have helped 1,163 people transform their lives. We're probably at any one time helping 10,000 people across the UK, and that's increasing by about 70 people a day. But the AFD donation has helped nearly 1,200 people really change their lives around. And I think that's an amazing achievement.
Stuart McCulloch of the charity Christians Against Poverty, just one of the 91 charitable organisations who received a share in £1.2 million donated by the Postcode People at their annual charity event in Ramsey last week. And now it's notice board time. The old church at the Cronk in Ballaugh is open today and showing 2 very special films. Footsteps in Time, telling the story of Ballaugh Old Church through the eyes of a 9-year-old girl, and the launch of the video to accompany the Ballaugh Old Church Christmas Carol that we played on this programme last week. There's a beautiful video to accompany the carol, and you can see it for the first time in the Old Church at Ballaugh today. The church is open from 10 o'clock this morning until 3 this afternoon, with both films playing continuously one after the other, so just pop in any time and enjoy. The Isle of Man Interfaith Group want to raise awareness of global conflicts and focus attention on the Peace Pledge Union, one of the UK's oldest pacifist organisations. They'll be on the ground floor of the Strand Shopping Centre here in Douglas today from 11 until 5, with displays, white poppies and music from various peace protagonists. This afternoon at 3 o'clock, there'll be carols by candlelight in Maloo Parish Church, with music from Manx Choir Kirjin Kujak, Castletown Metropolitan Silver Band and Terry and Sarah Qualtrough, with refreshments afterwards. Tonight, the Mariners Choir makes their first visit to Ballakilferrick Chapel. It'll take the form of a carol service. Reverend Chris Belfield will be the preacher, and the service, which will be followed by supper and community hymn singing, will start at the usual time of 6:30. And there's another event in Ballakilferrick Chapel this coming Saturday, the 14th. It's a Christmas cake competition. Bring your cake to the chapel on Saturday at 11:45. Entry fee is just £5 and the judging will take place at 11:15 on Saturday morning, with prizes for the best tasting and the best decorated Christmas cakes. If you need more information, have a word with Rachel on 202 500 202 500. St Andrew's United Reformed Church at St Ninian's Traffic Lights on Glencrutchery Road here in Douglas are hosting 2 very popular events for the Gateway Drama Group. First, they have their Nativity tonight at 6:30, and then on Tuesday the 10th, it'll be the Gateway Carol Service, again in St Andrew's. This is starting at 7:15 with a warm welcome for all. Staying in St Andrew's United Reformed Church, they've got a Christmas coffee morning this Saturday the 14th from 10 a.m. until noon. Admission is £2, including refreshments, and as well as stalls and a raffle, you can see the Christmas floral decorations. The first of the Tallis Consort Christmas concerts will be tomorrow, Monday the 9th of December, at Our Lady Star of the Sea and St Macald Catholic Church in Ramsey. The same concert will be repeated on the 14th of December in the Cathedral Church of St Mary of the Isle on Hill Street here in Douglas. Both concerts start at 7:30 and have free admission. The concert explores the mystery of Christmas through music and poetry, and the special guest at both concerts is Annie Kissack. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution have their 200th anniversary Christmas Carol concert with Ramsey Choral Society this Thursday the 12th in St Paul's Church in Ramsey. Starting at 7 o'clock, it'll be led by the Reverend Ian Foles and attended by His Excellency the Lieutenant Governor Sir John Lorimer. Orrisdale Chapel on the Kirkmichael Loop Road invite you to their 9 lessons and carols on Friday the 13th at 6:30. The chairman is Gordon Clegg, organist Eric Kelly, and guest soloists are Penny Lavery and Mike Derber. Admission is free, but donations of food to share would be welcomed. And next Saturday, the 14th, Sandygate Chapel have their carol service starting at 6:30, with tea and mince pies served afterwards. And we finish now with a look at next Sunday, the 15th of December. There's 9 lessons and carols in Christchurch in Laxey, led by Louise Beckett, next Sunday at 10:30. Kirk Santon have a carol service next Sunday at 11, with refreshments afterwards. Also at 11 next Sunday, there's a carol service in Crosby Methodist Chapel. And that's the music that you can enjoy in the Cathedral in Peel next Sunday the 15th, when there'll be a festival of lessons and carols starting at 3:30. Next Sunday evening at 6:30 there'll be a carol service in the Abbey Church in Ballasalla, with a variety of music and refreshments to follow. And also at 6:30 next Sunday, there'll be a candlelit carol service at Glenmay Methodist Chapel, followed by tea and mince pies. And that's all that we've time for now, but I'll be back later with Sundown, a warm welcome to our virtual lounge, tonight from 9 o'clock onwards. Our usual mix of easy listening music, your requests and dedications, and even more notice board news, including concerts during the coming week. And I'd love you to join me if you can. So until whenever we meet again, this is Judith saying thank you for listening, and I wish you and those you love all the hope and the promise of this Advent season. And a very good morning.